Hey everybody, welcome back to another bonus episode, you guys. I know, I swear I love doing this for you guys because every time I think of something or something pops up, I'm just like, oh my God, I gotta talk about this. So I actually wanted to talk to you guys about let me put it this way. I did some research just a few minutes ago because I was trying to find out if there was any content about what happens when you finally don't want them anymore. And of course you've been you've been doing the healing work, everything like that, right? Especially if you've been on the same journey as I have, as far as healing your anxious attachment style and doing the detachment, the actual work, that sort of thing. Okay. You're not just saying, oh, I don't want him anymore, because there's a big difference between not wanting just saying that you don't want anymore, as opposed to when you don't feel any, like, you don't have any emotional charge toward the person. Like, you don't really think about them anymore. You don't spiral when you think about them, or you have those what if moments. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about when you really are in a true place of not wanting them anymore. Now, in some ways, I have talked about this in previous podcasts, like, about I know I've talked about Mr. Breadcrumb King. You guys know who that is, right? If you haven't been watching me. And I know in other episodes I've kind of mentioned about, signs you've detached as opposed to when you're whole, and things like that. But this is going to be specifically about a story about me actually coming to the realization that I actually realized for the first time in 8 years that I am finally at a place where I really don't want him anymore. So, with that being said, this is definitely something that so many of us need to hear. It's not about manifesting your specific person back. And it's not about detaching to attract, like I mentioned, right? It's really about what happens when you finally don't want them anymore. And of course, after years of tears, emotional spirals, waiting on crumbs from this person, there comes a moment when the storm just finally stops. And that's why I want to talk to you guys today about that moment, because I literally just lived it. Okay. So, as you guys know, I was entangled with this person for 8 long years. Okay. The anxiety, the spiraling, the back and forth, the fantasy, the false hope. I was in it. And of course, as you guys know, I used to be a part of the law of assumption space. And of course, I was part of the twin flame space for a few years as well. As far as doing shadow work, inner work, trying to manifest him back through visualizing, affirming, journaling, all the techniques under the roof you can think of, right? And the thing is about it, you guys, it seems like no matter what I did, I even went as deep as like trying to figure out what my 4 deepest subconscious fears were when it came to love. And it's not that I didn't get any results at all. I did get some results, but I didn't get anything that was permanent. Like, yeah, I was getting the attention from men from time to time, but I never did get any results from my specific person specifically. And I'm just like, what the heck, But anyway, so, I pretty much noticed that I just kept going back to the same emotional roller coaster, where I really thought that this person was my twin flame. I thought that he was the person for me, but really he was just a mirror of the wounds that were still inside my nervous system, that were still inside me. And for years, I just couldn't imagine not wanting him. Like, guys, I'm telling you, I literally felt like I couldn't live without this person in a sense. Like, I couldn't imagine like me really like having a real connection with somebody. I had a hard time just like, I would feel bad about dating somebody else, or even when I was on a date with somebody else, I would literally just feel like, oh my God, but he's not breadcrumb king, it's not fair that I'm still holding on to breadcrumb king, even though I'm trying to date, those were the feelings I was having. And, and despite all that, even I've had a lot of emotional moments, like where I literally cried at night. I hated when we went months without even speaking, or, times when I felt ignored, and then of course the scraps that he did give me that I thought was love, but it was, I really thought the scraps he did give me was love, but it really wasn't. And I called it a full course meal, and that's far from a full course meal, right? So but just going from there, the turning point of all of this is after that, over time, that's when things shifted for me, of course, and I already mentioned it. Like, it took me to actually start really detaching from this person, and just really working on myself by working on my anxious attachment style. And, and then, of course, my biggest aha moment that made me really move forward was, just me being really just burnt out and tired, and I was just ready for change, and I knew I had to do something about it. And of course, that's when kind of things just kind of shifted for me, and I slowly started like energetically coming away from this person. Hence, I teach you step by step of what exactly, like some things that I actually did to get to where I am now in my 28-day Decentering Men journal, which is coming out really, really, really soon. Who knows? It might be out by the time it'll probably be out by the time I post this podcast. But anyway, so, by the time I even shifted, like, don't get me wrong, you guys, this did not happen all at once. It kind of happened in like, I want to say like in segments, I guess. Okay. It wasn't some dramatic breakup. It was definitely slow. It was quiet. It was internal. And I started choosing myself. I started saying no to the anxiety. I stopped like energetically checking on him. I never was the type to check his social media. His social media kept popping up on me, to be honest with you. But yeah, I was never tempted to click on it. So, I didn't have to worry about that. But I know a lot of you guys, may resonate with, wanting to check their social media pages. And so what I did was just like, on top of me literally telling him that I had that, that I wanted to just end things for good and cut him off, and told him how much his behavior hurt me. Yes, I told him that, you guys. I told him that, and all I got was a sorry ass apology. And, we just went our separate ways from there. And, and of course after that, I deleted like everything out of my phone. I deleted his phone number, photos that I had of him, text messages, just everything I can think of. Okay. And then, I just stopped needing him to get it. And then of course, just recently, like I realized, even though I had cut him off about 6 months ago, and in between that time, I did do even more inner work on myself, but then what happened was just last week, I was just like, oh my God, I'm not even drawn to him like that anymore. It felt like I was just like at peace. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel sad. I didn't even want any closure. The pull was just gone. Like, and I wasn't detaching to attract at all, you guys. I wasn't even secretly hoping he'd text me. It's like I had finally detached because my nervous system had enough. And here's the thing, like, no one tells you about this stage, really, you guys. No one tells you that when you really heal, it's not a dramatic event. It's not like, oh my God, I'm finally detached from this person. I no longer care. You know what I mean? It's just a quiet, gentle release. And that's exactly what I experienced. It was just kind of like I kind of had to just, it pretty much kind of just happened where I was just thinking about him because he did pop up in my mind. And I was just like, I don't feel drawn to him anymore. Like I used to. It was so subtle, to be honest with you guys. That's how it felt. And so, it was just like a subtle, quiet, gentle release. And, you're just like, you would just wake up and it's literally like he's just not the main character in your mind anymore. Now, don't get me wrong, you might still, now, as you're transitioning, especially if you've been there like I have, like, because don't get me wrong, you guys, he does pop up in my mind, like, daily. I know, crazy, right? I know you're probably like, well, you're detaching, you're not supposed to be. That doesn't mean you'll totally stop thinking about him or them. It doesn't mean that you'll completely stop thinking about them. They will pop up, but you'll notice the difference when you're not like attached to them anymore. You'll just know. Okay. So in the midst of it all, you might, like I said, you might still dream about them once in a while, which, like, for example, last night I normally don't dream about him. You might feel a little bit of residue or random memories. I've experienced that as well, from time to time. The energy literally the energy is different. There's no more longing, no obsession, no what if. It's like you're no longer holding on to the fantasy. You've outgrown the wound that kept reaching for them. So, in hindsight, Breadcrumb King was never the one. He never was, you guys. Okay, he was just the lesson. The portal that led me back to myself. He showed me all the places where I didn't feel worthy. All the places I needed to be chosen, chased, validated. And I kept thinking it was about him, but it really was always about me. And I stopped chasing his potential. I created my own peace. And now, guess what I do, guys? And I talk about this in my journal too, and I give this to you for you as an exercise. It's just kind of a fun exercise, okay? I literally focus on my dream person. And if you haven't been following me, my dream person, his name is Elton, and he's a divine masculine who exists in the energy of consistency, presence, and security, which is what I've always wanted. And he's fine as hell, okay? He really is. But of course, he's more than just fun. Like, I can tell, like, he just gives this confident energy. I love the idea that he loves to help people, like, become the best versions of himself, at least from what I've seen, and things like that. And I totally admire that in him, so it's more than just looks in a person, okay, you guys, but it's just the whole energetic vibe he gives off, and I really admire that about him. But so whether he's the final one or just a reflection of what I'm calling in, I know this, that I know I'm not ever going to settle for crumbs again. So with that being said, you guys, I'm going to wrap this up. I just felt inspired to share this with you guys, this episode. So if you're listening to this and you're in that weird in-between space where you don't want him back, but he still shows up in your dreams, you're probably in the final dusting stage. That's like that, and that technically that's like just residue is what I call it, okay? And that's, like I said, that's where the emotional charge is gone. The body is just sweeping out the residue, literally. You're almost there. So that's kind of like you're in like the 90% range where you're just like 90% detached from this person once you are there, you're around there. And when that day comes where you just don't want them anymore, it's not sadness. It's not loss. It's actually freedom. You're not cold-hearted. You're healed. You don't give up on love. You stopped confusing pain with love. And with that being said, you guys, thank you so much for being here. If this episode landed for you, share it with somebody who's close to the other side. The cycle ends with you, and I'm proud of how far you've become. And also, guys, be sure to be on the lookout for my Decentering Men journal, even though, like I said, I think by the time I post this, it'll probably already be out. But if it already is out, please check out the description box below for more information. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more episodes like this. And I will speak to you in the next episode.